Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. How's everybody doing out there today? I pray that everybody's well. I pray that everybody's safe and sane. I say that, but I don't say that lightly. There's been a lot of death around, man. It's just like, my cousin lost his mother recently. Another brother that I deal with lost a cousin of his recently. It's just a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like it's like almost every time you pick up the phone, like, man, you know, such and such passed, or man, my people passed, or whatever. So I say strive hard to stay safe and sane out here. It's not easy, but we can do it. We can do it by the grace of the Most High. As always, I want to thank you all, for, staying with me, watching my videos, subscribing, sharing them, and leaving comments and likes and all that good stuff, as they say, because it means a lot. It helps move my videos, and perhaps it may touch somebody and help them out. It may help them out, because a lot of people help me grow. When I was young, a lot of seeds would drop in my mind. My father, my cousin, family, friend, uncles, aunts, mothers. A lot of knowledge was dropped in my mind, and though those seeds might not have sprouted immediately, life and its circumstances allowed them to grow and flourish in some senses. So I'm grateful for, all of you who watch and, genuinely care about my journey, genuinely care about my efforts and my attempts at giving back some way, somehow. I'm still over Potomac Gardens in Southeast as best I can, walking, talking with the youth, just building with them, some doing arts and crafts, the younger ones, some of the older ones, just talking to them, man, just trying to ask them those important questions in life. What do you want out of life? Who are you? What is love? Who do you love? Stuff like that. These are things we have to begin to do, because we speak so easily the words that we've been taught, and we really don't understand a lot of the words that we've been taught, so we throw the word love out there, really don't have a thorough understanding of that word. We throw the word family out there, and do we really understand what that word means? We throw community, sisterhood, brotherhood, faith. So, these are things that, I'm constantly studying myself and sharing my findings with others, in hopes that it may mean something. So I want to speak about a celly I had. A wild guy, man, a wild guy. But you would have never known that, right? You would have never known that. But before I do, I have to say this again. This is my new poem book, Still Thinking, right? By me. It's on Amazon, Still Thinking. For those who, love poetry, man, I got some awesome pictures. In here, I have a poem I wrote called Inner Child. Well, that's not the inner child. There you go. Inner Child. And I'll read it one day. But there's the picture is by a young lady named Sadira. And this was a picture she painted called Inner Child. So when I spoke to her about my poem, she said, yeah, that's the name of the picture you mentioned that your cousin has. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, man, let me put this in the book, right? I have a picture, I have a poem dedicated to my mama, Anita Mecca Kareem, right? And that's a picture of my mama, my brother, my older brother, and myself. Painful poem, to be honest. I have some poems, Power of Prayer. You can't we can't go through this life, man, without appreciating, spirituality, man, and growing. One called Rude Awakening, Screams and Sirens. I have 2 short stories in here. I have a Single Mom. I have another poem called Single Mom Still. I have one called Social Media. Squirrel Wars. It's crazy because when my car conked out, I did a video and I was speaking about it. And I was walking to the subway station 4 o'clock in the morning, because they start up at 5 in DC. So I was walking 4 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear the squirrels, like scurrying, an acorn drop, another acorn drop. Like, hold on, they try to go to war with me, So that's how that poem came about. One called Stay the Course, and like I say, I will, read some of these as time goes on. But for those who know me, for those who support me, I definitely would appreciate if you go, to Amazon and buy Still Thinking, Khalid Kareem, and I appreciate your support as always. I speak about my this roommate I had, man, and I'm telling this story because you never know, who you're dealing with. You never know who you come across, because appearances are just that. They have value. You look at an apple, it looks right. It looks right. Probability says it's good, but not all the time. And so you have the saying, never judge a book by its cover. Again, probability is a factor even in math. So you say, okay, this guy looks like a decent dude, conducts himself a certain way. So you usually have a, preconceived notion that, okay, he's a good guy. It's not always the case. So fast forward, or rather go backwards. Guy comes in the cell, they pop the door. You usually get up and you look at the booth. You look out in the pod to see why they pop your door. So as they pop the door, I see a guy coming up the stairs, bag in hand, bald-headed, real muscular guy, buff, but, muscular. So he come in the cell, you know what I mean? So, it's actually almost an 8 o'clock count. So when he comes in, I get out the way. I go sit back on my bed. I'm like, what's up, man? How you doing? So like, peace, how you doing, brother? So I'm like, I'm good, And so I say, my name Khalid, what's yours? And to this day, man, I swear I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say his name was, I don't want to throw a name out there, because I would say his first name, not his last, but I would say his first name. It'll come to my mind. I've been thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so he comes in, and like I said, he sets his bag down. Now, in prison, old school, right? You give a dude about 30 minutes in your cell, but while he's in there, you begin to ask questions because you want to know if y'all compatible, right? So, you have guys that may not do that. I've noticed the guys who really aren't strong, I guess, don't do that. But most people who, whether they care about how you feel about it, they can defend themselves, they're going to ask, because again, you're going to have to live with this person. You need to know who you're around. So, I usually start, with who I am, right? Because I'm going to get to asking you who you are. So I'm like, yeah, I'm a Muslim. I'm in the nation. I'm clean, as you can see. I usually don't walk in the cell with my shoes on, me personally, but you can, you know what I mean? But I wipe it every day, you know what I mean? I keep it clean, as you can see. I'm real respectful. I'm quiet. I say my prayers, but I don't, say them loud. So as to disturb your peace. I keep my headphones in from my TV in my ear so as not to break or disturb your peace. So I run this down. So he's like, yeah, that's what's up. That's how I am, brother. I'm the same way, man. I love peace. And this is how you talking, no lie. So I'm like, yeah, where you came from? Because I look at his bag, and the bags be see-through. So I'm like, he ain't got a lot in the bag. So I'm like, man, you came? He's like, man, I came from Sussex 1. That's a prison in Waverly, Virginia. So like, man, I came from Sussex 1, I'm like, yeah. And it's usually considered a step up from like a level 5, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and at the time I was at Nottoway. So I'm like, oh yeah. So he's like, I'm like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? You came down a level, you doing pretty good, huh? He's like, yeah, got into a little situation, but God protects me, man. God loves me. So when I hear that, my antennas go up. I'll tell you why. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So I say, how long you been now? So, you know, like I say, he's real buff, real muscular. So he say, about 5 years, you know, 5 years. I'm like, yeah, you from out here? You know, so he like, nah, well, yeah, I'm from like Norfolk, you know, and, you know, but, yeah, I was working in the kitchen, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see if they got another kitchen job up here and all that. You know, I like working in the kitchen. I met a lot of good brothers and all that. They got any good Christian brothers in the pod and all that. So, like I say, my antennas go off. Because when you're looking for fellowship or brotherhood, whether you're Muslim or you're Christian, and it's sincere, then I applaud it, right? But you'll see a lot of TV shows and movies talk about those who have hidden behind religion in prison. And there's truth to that. There is truth to that. Many have gone to church because there are those who really go back to the roots. You know, grandma raised you in church, mama raised you in church. So you feel like, man, I got 100 years, man. I'm going back to church, man. I living that life didn't do anything good for me. The silly life, the wild life. You got those who are Muslims who, very few are actually born Muslim that I've known, right? But you have some that join the community because the Muslim brotherhood in prison, and again, you see this on TV, is usually strong. You know, a lot of brothers, when they join, they take a lot of the oaths in the ways seriously. So brotherhood means a lot. So if your brother get into a fight, man, you got brothers that'll jump out the bed, you know, crawl up under gates, man, and you know, come to your aid. And you have that with other organizations, but the Muslims, whether the nation or the Orthodox Muslims, they've been known to be more more as a collective serious about that, defending one another. And because of that, guys, you know, will join, you know what I'm saying? Especially if they're not in prison for the right thing. And there's no, pardon me, there's no right thing. But if you're not in prison for, you know, murder or drug selling or something like that, you know, if you're in there for rape, molesting or whatever, you have a lot of those guys try to hide in a lot of these organizations. So when I hear him, the way he's going on about God and, you know, Christianity and, you know, looking for brothers, like he's saying this, but he's actually talking about it. So I'm like, okay. So that night, you know, you go to sleep. And like I say, something just don't feel right. And I say this honestly. So the first night, there was nothing unique. You know, there was nothing unique. This was like a Thursday. So Friday come, you know, he's going to the shower and there's a booth. And on either side of the booth, there are two showers that face towards the booth. So there's a little portal that takes you back there. So he's actually standing on the little step up into the portal doing calf raises, you know, calf raises. So guys are just staring at this guy because he's in the way if guys are going in and out the shower. Plus, there are guys in the shower, so you don't really go and hang in no portal because guys in the shower was, hey, man, who are you? You know, why you standing there? So at the time, no one was in the front shower, but somebody was in that back shower. So dude said, excuse me, like, man, excuse me, man. He just stared at him. And my roommate was like, yes, sir, my fault, my brother. And the way he says my brother just exaggerated. It's just not authentic, so it doesn't sound organic. So, you know, as the day go past, you got guys that know me. They're like, bro, Kyle, what's up with your celly, man? Dude seem weird. So I'm like, yeah, because I'm usually in the cell unless I'm outside, you know, walking or working out or something. Like, yeah, like, you know, but in my mind, I see what they're saying. So that night he comes in, and again, I'm not finished my interrogations, right? Because like I said, I sensed something. So I'm like, yeah, man. So you was a couple dudes in here say they recognize you, man. You know what I'm saying? We got into a fight. So he's like, yeah, you know, God, man, God protects me. You know, you had a lot of brothers that didn't like me, that talked about me, you know, and it was a guy from Portsmouth, man. He was always pushing stuff at me. And I used to tell him, I'm a man of God and I love God and, you know, just let me love God. And the brother kept pushing stuff and pushing stuff. And so, you know, I'm a fight, you know, I was in the military, you know, so I can defend myself. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, why he pushing stuff at you? Do seem laid back, so like, why he pushing stuff? Be like, I used to talk to the brothers, man, in the kitchen and tell them, you know, love God, you know, and let's pray and all that. Like he's pushing. So I'm like, yeah, a lot of time though, you know, bro, when you pushing stuff, man, at people that really aren't ready for it, you know, you invite certain things, you know. I say it's good to throw out who you are and what you're about. I said, but to insist, you know, in Islam, it says there's no compulsion in religion. So you don't want to just beat a guy upside his head with it. You know what I mean? So he said the guy from Portsmouth got into it with him, and he fought, and a couple of other guys actually was going to jump him, but he said some Christian brothers rallied around him and all that. So I'm like, okay. So later on that day, no. Yeah, so the day passes. So I think he put an application in for the kitchen and all that. So usually if you're getting in the kitchen, you moving. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's going to be out to sale soon. So I'm like, okay. So I think it was like that night. So I when he used the bathroom, like in your cell, there's usually as soon as you step in the door, there's a toilet and a sink. Or they have the toilet sink connection. But what guys will do is they'll take a little piece of cardboard off the back of a you know, cracker box or back of a writing tablet, and they'll cut a square and they'll put the steak soap, and they'll stick it on the wall. Sticks like it's like glue, and they'll take a, you know, paper clip, bend it in half, fold it, put a hook on it. So we call it a cut. So you put the sheet up, so when you're using the bathroom. So the guy, he didn't use that, you know what I mean? It gives you elbow room. You get up, you wash your hands. You got a couple of inches from the sink, so you got all that. He didn't use that. He made his own. He used the light switch that was above the sink, right? And then the door has a slot. So like you're sitting on the toilet, the light is up here. So the door right there, he didn't put himself like in a baby triangle to use the bathroom. So I don't say nothing. I'm just like, what is, like he's over there. You can see his knee, like, you know, through the imprint of the sheet. So I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? The cut right there. Why not use the cut? So I'm like, okay, I don't say nothing, ain't nothing. But so then about 4 in the morning, now Muslims get up early to pray, right? So, you know, you let them up, child call, you'll hear them letting kitchen workers out early in the morning, 2:30, sometime 4 o'clock. So I'm a light sleeper. So about 4 o'clock, I hear whispering. So I'm listening, I'm like, what the hell is it? Maybe he got a cell phone. I don't know. At the time, guys started getting cell phones. I'm like, so I started discerning words. Lord, Jesus. So when I look, I'm looking towards the door because the window is up there, right? I only got the knob for the window that has the opening where I can feel the breeze. It's hard to look out. It's like a thick screen. But up there is the see-through window. So I can see the reflection of him in the door. So I see him like going up and down, up and down. Obviously, he's praying, but I can hear it. I mean, it's loud, you know, woke me up. So I don't say nothing, you know, I don't never disturb a man when he's praising, never. So I wait. He do that for almost like 15 minutes. I'm boiling inside. So about 30 minutes later, they say stand by for child. Everybody go to child. I ain't saying nothing. I get up, brush my teeth, wash my face, you know. So step outside the cell. Ask him, was he going to child? He says, yeah. So he steps out. So I stand on the top to him, just waiting. So come back, lay back down. You know, I think we got afternoon rec. So I lay back down. I come back out in the pod about an hour later, you know, do my little job. So when I go back in about 11 o'clock, we got about an hour in the cell for count to clear. So I say, man, I say, Sally, I'm a Muslim. I believe, you know, I pray, but I try to keep my prayer from disturbing you. I said, man, I heard you this morning, man. It woke me up this morning, man. You know, you were pretty loud in your worship. You know, I said, man, consider that, man. You know what I'm saying? I go to sleep, you know, when I go to sleep late pretty, but, you know, keep that in mind. You were lying. You woke me up. You're like, oh, Sally, oh, no disrespect, man. I love God so much, man. I forgot. I apologize. Woo, woo, woo. So I'm like, oh, yeah. And, you know, ain't no thing, man. Just keep me in mind. You're like, okay, Sally, I got you. I got you. So, so the day go past. We, you know, we ain't really saying it because we really ain't vibing. So around 12 o'clock, he's been in my cell. This is probably like from Thursday, I'm gonna say, let's say Sunday evening. because he only went to church one time while he was in the cell. So he came back, he slid to church. They didn't let him go because he wasn't on the pass list. You have to be there for about 2-3 weeks and get on the pass list. So he tried to go to church. Boom. So Sunday, when he came back, I'm in the cell, and I say, man, you from Norfolk, man. I say, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you watching this guy. I'm like, was he a robber? He wasn't no hustler. I don't hear hustle in him. I'm like, was he a robber? Like, maybe he got on drugs and robbed somebody, you know, a store or something. Like I say, he's real muscular. You know, sometimes curiosity the best you. Hey, Sally, what you locked up for? What you locked up for? You say you was in Norfolk. What'd you do? Rob something? You know, steal something? Yeah. You know, Sally, man, I usually don't tell brothers, you know, my case because brothers judge you, you know, and when they judge you, they don't get to know you, you know, and this is how he's talking. I'm not exaggerating. So I'm just listening to him. So he says that he was in a house, an apartment, and he was living with a girlfriend. And the rent was due. He was over rent because she didn't work at the time. And he said, so she left because he got an eviction notice. He said that he came home and he got an eviction notice. So he said that his landlord was a woman. He said that the woman came over and told him he had to get out within about 10 days. He said, so, you know, he told her, you know, come and talk to him, you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera. So he was like, and this is what happened. Yeah, earlier that day, what made me ask him more specific was a guy named Face. It's a guy named Face, dark-skinned brother, had a little, you know, nose on him, and he was, he had something affiliated with a record label. Decent dude, though. And basically, bro, Khalid, I know dude, and everybody knew me. They know I don't like rapists. Molesters and stuff like that. I don't like them. I don't want them around me. So he was like, man, you're selling, man. He got one of them funny charges. So I said, yeah, for real? Like, yeah. He was, somehow he did. So he caught a rape case, bro. I'm telling you, man, that's my word. I remember dude case, man, and it was in the newspaper because he tried to hide on a boat. He tried to hide on like one of the military ships. So he was in the military, or he was at one time. So that's what happened, you know. So he claimed, and so he, you know, when I asked him when he came in the cell, you know, he kind of giving me this spiel about judging and all that. I'm trying to get to your case. So he tells me that the woman comes over, the landlord, and he says he began to hug her and kiss her because he got his shirt off. And this is what he says. She's admiring his physique. And he says, you know, we started hugging and kissing. And he say he's sleeping with her. And, you know, he says, she says, stop. He says, in his mind, he's thinking because, you know, he's endowed that it's more like no, in passion, as opposed to stop. He said he don't stop. He says, so, you know, she gets up, she leaves. He says he goes to the bathroom, she's gone. And he said 5 days later, he looks on TV and they're looking for him. He said he was still in the house. He said no police knocked on his door. He said, so one of his military brothers told him, man, I saw you on TV. Man, they looking for you. He said, so he was on a ship. Now, so I say, man, weren't you on a ship? Didn't you go to a military ship? He was like, yeah, it was like something like exercise, or he was going on a ship to visit somebody, something crazy. But then he started saying that he's on medicine, that he's schizophrenic and bipolar, and he was depressed because he got that notice of eviction. And he said that when he was talking to the lady, he said that to this day, this is what he was telling me, he said, to this day, I know that she desired me. He said God gave him the ability to discern. So he said that I know that she desired me, but he thinks that in the middle of their, you know, intercourse, she remembered that she was the landlady and she was putting him out. That's what he told me. So at the end of all that, I listened and I say, bruh, I said, I'm gonna be real with you. I said, man, that don't sound like it makes sense. You know, for those that know me, they'll tell you that's how it was. I said, don't sound like it makes sense. I said, man, with all due respect, this ain't my cell. You know, we live here, but I don't want no guy with no rape case in my cell, man. I said, I don't feel that, and I can't trust nobody like that, man. I said, so I started asking questions like, you know, if she thought that way, why would she put the case on you? Why didn't just leave it alone? Like, I slept with him, I'm done, you know? Why charge you with that? You know what I mean? Why would you be on a boat hiding from the law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So this was Sunday night. So Monday, he told me, you know, he understood and all that. So that night, I'm asleep. Man, I hear breathing. So I wake up, I'm looking. And I woke up kind of on guard. I'm looking. He got the cut up. Again, the cut is like halfway. He's over there, no shirt on, working out. Like, you can barely work out in that little corner where he put the sheet up. But he's doing the calf layers, doing push-ups against the wall. And I can see it because he don't have the cut up above his head. He got it like where his shoulder's at. So I sit up, I rub my face. And I'm not trying to go to the hole for nothing silly. I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to. But, man, you're not going to be acting like no fool. In 4 o'clock in the morning, I think it was like 3 or something. Man, so I said, hey, man, what's up with you, Sally, man? You know, well, I said, I don't understand, man. You know, me and you talked the other day about you praising, and you over here working out, man. I hear you breathing, man. What's up, Slim? So I started reaching for my boots. So he like, Sally, I don't mean no disrespect. I don't mean no disrespect. So I said, oh, man, check your voice, Slim. So I stood up, you know, and I'm trying to remember, you know, I'm striving to be a good person. I'm trying to be righteous, man. But I felt like, okay, now you imposing because I checked you about your case. Now I told you got to go. So you want to act like, you know, you got something on your chest. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get it. So I put my boots on, you know, I'm sitting in the cell where I'm standing up. So I'm like, Slim, I ain't gonna play no games with you, man. You know what I mean? I done asked you before, man. Keep respect in the cell, man. You know what I mean? That's why you got to go. Woo. I don't mean no disrespect. I was just working out, Sally. I didn't know that my breathing was loud. I was silent, you know, for the like 20 minutes, you know what I'm saying? You hadn't heard me. It was probably because I was at the end of my workout, you know what I mean? So he took like a wet rag, wiped himself down. I'm talking about musty, you know what I mean? Because he was working out, he was sweating. So I smelled the must. He get up on the bed. I can't go to sleep. So he get out the cell. Probably like maybe, was it that morning? I want to say it was that morning. Yeah, it was that morning. So he left. I think it was like 9 o'clock. I was out in the pod and he went up in the cell. He went to the watch office. Then he came back. Yeah, he packed his stuff. He was gone. So like 2 days later, he went to the hole. He come back out. So like I said, I know Face. I don't think Face ever had an issue with him, but Face knew him from Sussex. So breakfast time. And at the time, because like I said, he gone out and cleaned the cell, got it smelling, you know, decent again. So the next morning or two, you know, I don't really go to breakfast. I was just going because I had a cell and just getting out the cell. He had a new cell. He maybe want to use the bathroom or give him some space. So I get out the cell. So I turn around and dudes come back from breakfast like, man, hey, bro, Khalid, man, Face just stole your celly. I said, stole my celly? I said, oh, you talking about the dude that was in his jump? I said, for what? So evidently, you know, he's up at the line about to get some medicine, and he kept speaking to Face like, hey, brother. And Face had told him, man, I don't know you, man. We was at Sussex together. We ain't talk though. So he got mad at Face and said, you don't want to speak to me? That's okay. You know, you brothers got a lot of demons in you or something like that. So Face like, man, get out of my face. So when he walked past, this is what he said in the pod. Face didn't tell me that. So when he leave, he go to home, he come back out, they going to breakfast. He's actually in the medical line. Face walked past. Face is actually going in the medicine line too. So he turned around and say, hey, and he didn't say, brother, he said something, these demons. And Face stole them. Pop. So the COs come, the COs right there at the medicine line, they grab him. Then we go back to the hole, come back out. And then he goes into a cell with a dude I know from DC named Vecchio. Vecchio was a wild dude, loved to fight, you know what I'm saying? Good dude, but he loved to fight, you know, DC, representing all the time. So when he go in the cell, Vecchio had heard that he had been my celly. Word travels fast. So I told that Vecchio, I think a child called. He said, man, your celly in the cell with me, man, how is he? So I let him know. I said, dude, you know, he got one of them cases. I ain't mind, you know, because I can stand on what I say. So I'm like, he got one of them cases. Dude a Christian, you know what I'm saying? But he does a lot of little annoying things, you know what I'm saying? You know, he tries to be out the way, but he does little stuff like that. You know, you talk to him, let him know, you know, what you do and what you don't do. And lo and behold, Vecchio let him know, man, I ain't for none of that. Don't do none of this. Don't do none of that. He say, cool. I'm not going to pose that. I'm, you know, just trying to do my time. And he sat there and did the same thing. I think he got out of the shower, or Vecchio got out the shower and went to the cell and told him, man, can you, you know, clear out? You know, so I got to get dressed and all that. And he was like, man, I don't want to go in the pod. I'm reading my Bible. So Vecchio said, all right, man, get out the cell. So he left out. Then when he come back in the cell, he did the praying thing where he was real loud. Jesus, protect me, Jesus. Vecchio said, man, hey, and hit him in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? He went to the hole. And I say all that to say, like I said, you know, he had a wild journey. He didn't got in 2 fights or hit in the face a couple of times in the course of 3 weeks of being on a new compound, right? And he talked to Christ. He talked at him, but he imposed. Now, I said earlier he was on medicine. Maybe that was, but some guys are haunted by the flaws, the mistakes, the crime. They're haunted by it. So they wasn't always on medicine on the street. They get on medicine in prison because they got to lay down and face the demons that they are. It was weird, man. You know what I mean? Like, and again, if you saw him, you know, muscular, shirt buttoned up, clean, you know what I mean? You would be fooled. You would be fooled. If he was on the street now, you would be fooled. So you have to be careful with those that come around. And, you know, we judge like, okay, you know, we think he right, but we think he not. But the one we actually looking down our nose at might be the one that's all right. And the one that looks so prim and proper might be the one that's all wrong. It's not always the case, right? Not at all. But we have to be more wise in how we discern people. And I learned that because, like I said, he came in, he looked clean, looked like he was on point, but he wasn't. You know, he really had a rape case. He really had 80 years. You know what I mean? 80 years. And it wasn't no, he slept with the girl. It was, you know, he choked her and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He imposed, and it was anger because he did get an eviction notice, you know, and his girlfriend, who he claimed was his girlfriend, left. She testified on him about his anger and all this and her fears and things. So, you know, he got 80 years and he had military background. So yeah, you know, the truth of him came out, you know what I mean? As time went on, he didn't stay on Nottoway long. I think I remember him being up there maybe 5-6 months. Then he got shipped somewhere, you know, because once you're in that position where you're getting in the fights or beat up or people are constantly coming at you because you're imposing, you know, you're imposing. The administration said, man, get that guy up out of here. You know what I'm saying? We can't put him nowhere. No one wants him in the pod. He's going to always get hit. I think somebody hit him later on, a few months later, with a lock in the back of his head. Because, like I say, he was strong. He got in a fight with somebody, and I think he was actually kind of getting the better of it. And I remember someone hitting him with something in his head. So, you know, this was a long one. I know it was a long one, and pardon me for my long-windedness. But as I reflect on a lot of these things, man, sometimes the stories can't be really condensed without you getting the details, you know, and they say the devil's in the details. So just be mindful that you can't always judge a book by the cover, you know. Again, thank you all, man. I'll be back soon, you know. A lot of things are going on, and a lot of good things. I'm staying busy. I'm a little tired. It's kind of early in the morning at work, but yeah, I appreciate you all. Stay safe, stay sane, take care of yourselves. Love the ones you love as best you can, and do your best to add to the world and not take away. Peace.